Hello, everyone. We have just finished our playthrough of Evil Dead: Hail to the King on PS1, and I would like to talk about it, give a little review here. Whenever we beat a longer form game, we tend to do a review on the mechanical stuff, the story stuff, and then an overall recommend and not recommend kind of thing. So, first and foremost, Evil Dead Hail to the King is a PS1 survival horror game. And the reason why I bring that up is when people talk about survival horror, this game, I very rarely, if at all, hear come up. And I'm not sure why. Because mechanically, it is very much a survival horror game. There's the resource management, there's the storage box, which is also your save location. There are limited saves, which is not a thing I like. And there is the tank control based combat. It is quintessentially a PS1 survival horror game. And from a mechanical standpoint, it's very interesting because one thing it does add is it adds an extra resource with your chainsaw, which you can see here on the picture there. You do get your trusty chainsaw. And it also gets upgraded throughout the game, which we'll talk about here in a second, which has its own gas meter. And in order for the chainsaw to do full damage, you have to rev up your chainsaw. So on the controller, your R2, which I know is flipped for you guys, but R2, I guess I could do that. R2 is to rev the chainsaw, and L2 is to unrev the chainsaw, so that way you can conserve gas. Now, the way it handles gas is a resource like any other, like your health and stuff like that you have to manage in order to keep getting that full damage for your chainsaw. But the way this game that handles resource management is very interesting, because in your more traditional survival horrors of this era, like, there's limited items, right? There's limited healing, limited resources, ammo, stuff like that. In this game, there are thresholds where the game will realize, hey, you don't have a lot of healing items. Hey, you don't have a lot of ammo. Hey, you don't have a lot of gas. So sometimes when you kill an enemy, they will drop those items dependent on how much of those items you have on you, essentially, I think. I didn't test the storage of that. I don't know if you put a bunch of stuff in storage and then go farm stuff and then it'll give you more, or if it's just based on what's in your inventory or not what's in your inventory, that kind of thing. But so if you're like, hey, I have one, minor healing, which is kind of like painkillers in this game, then you can kill a monster, and when they die, they're a deadite. They're all deadites, obviously, because it's Evil Dead. They have a chance of dropping a small heal, a big heal, ammo. We've gotten all of that from monsters. Another cool thing that they do that has its respawning resources is mushrooms. So at the very beginning of the game, there are two manuals that you will acquire as you're exploring that first area. And each manual gives you a way to use an item called a converter, which you start the game with, to convert a mushroom into a resource. So if you there's a manual that allows you to turn red mushrooms into gas and turn gray mushrooms into health. Now, it's only the small health. It's not like a med kit, but it is a little bit of health. The beauty of those is they respawn. And that thing, that kind of system, is so important that is actually how they keep you consistently getting health in the final boss fight, is by having respawning mushrooms, which is very, very cool. Very cool. I really like that system as a kind of a pressure valve of, okay, this person's struggling with their combat, with our area exploration. Let's give them a little bit of a boost, give them a healing item, give them some ammo, that kind of stuff. So mechanically, it has some extra stuff on top of your normal survival horror stuff. It doesn't really have puzzles to speak of from a mechanical standpoint. It's usually find item, use item, find item, use item. It's basically like a key system, but sometimes the keys are multi-leveled. So like at one point you have to assemble a pump, and you need a crank and the engine essentially. And you go to the thing, you put the engine on, you put the crank on, and it unlocks, right? So it's two keys for one lock kind of thing. But there's not really any puzzles. So if you're not particularly good at puzzles, you don't really have to worry about that with this game. This game doesn't have like a how well do you know Shakespeare puzzle, to reference Silent Hill 3, for example. So I think it's a little bit more accessible in that regard. Now, I will say the combat can be quite unforgiving for one mechanical reason. The hitboxes are not great. On both sides. Now, you can very easily take advantage of those bad hitboxes as well. In fact, if you watch our playthrough, which should be here on YouTube, as well as on Twitch, you will see that there sometimes we'll swing our chainsaw and hit somebody that's like over here, right? It's like we're swinging here and hitting this guy. It's just like, okay, that's a little strange. But again, that also works in reverse, where they'll swing at you over here and you'll be over here and you're still getting hit. So the hitboxes, not the greatest in the world. It does have limited saves, and I know some people are fine with that, some people aren't. I am in the I don't like that camp, I'll be completely honest. I don't like limited saves. I don't think it really adds anything to the experience other than frustration, and that did catch us at least twice in the playthrough where we had to basically do a whole bunch of content over again, because there are situations in the game where you'll go to finish a puzzle, a collection thing, and it will force you into the next scene without the ability to go back and save before what you assume is going to be like a boss fight. And there are quite a few bosses in this game, surprisingly. There's probably like 10 or so bosses. I would say maybe even more than that, maybe close to 15. I don't know. I'd have to go back and count. There's quite a few bosses in this game. Some of them are easier than others. Again, because of the hitbox thing, you can kind of play around with it. Also, some of the Deadites are easier to fight than others. A lot of that. We did figure out near the end, finding a good balance between swinging the chainsaw and firing your weapons can really get you some, like, track down damage on certain targets. Now, certain people will have essentially like invincibility frames to keep you from just slapping them with your chainsaw. Others won't. So there's some bosses that if you just get right up in their face, keep walking at them and chainsawing them, they basically get stun locked. So it varies depending on bosses. There's a couple mechanical, there's like three, possibly four mechanical boss fights in the whole game where the focus is more on the mechanic and less on just direct combat. So mechanically, it does some different things that I think is interesting, to say the least. You can also upgrade your weapons, which I said I would mention here. It basically changes your ammo type and it does more damage. I didn't really notice too much of a benefit using an upgraded weapon versus a non-upgraded one. I'm just guessing it does a bit more damage, which more damage is always helpful, but like you turn your shotgun into a rock salt shotgun, you turn your rifle into a spike rifle, and you turn your pistol into like a nail gun, essentially. It's okay. Now, your chainsaw does upgrade on its own after certain scenes. So after you beat certain bosses and stuff, you do get an upgraded chainsaw, which the chainsaw is going to be your bread and butter. That does the most damage so far as I can tell, and you can swing it more consistently than you can shoot. If you don't have any ammo, there is an axe item that you can use, but more often than not, you're going to be using the chainsaw. Which, it's Evil Dead. Of course, you're going to use the chainsaw. Come on, man. But that's kind of it from a mechanical standpoint. Like I said, most of the rest of it is basically just a basic survival horror game. Story-wise, the story is kind of like, what if we shrunk down like the first 3 movies, or maybe just 2 and 3, into like a 5 to 8 hour experience kind of thing, gaming experience. Which you might be like, wait, those movies together are probably like 4 hours. It's because you have to do a lot more exploration. There's filler in that which is in the movies essentially. But the story does take its own turn, like your reasoning to move through the place, even though it still hits the story beats of dealing with the Deadites and fighting, you know, notable characters or seeing notable characters. It does take its own story, so it's not just, oh, it's the movies, but the game. This one actually does take some liberties in an interesting way. That I think helps it stand out a little bit. The ending did seem to be a cliffhanger. I don't know if there's a game that's supposed to be a direct sequel to this. I will probably look that up in the future. But as of the time of this recording, I don't know if there was ever a sequel to Hail to the King that makes sense from a story standpoint, or if they're all just kind of Evil Dead related stuff. But basically, the story is you're haunted by. You play Ash, who's haunted by the nightmares of the events of Evil Dead series, Evil Dead trilogy, and your girlfriend Jenny or Jenna, one of the two, wants to help you. So you go back to the cabin to try to solve the problem. And as you know, whenever you go back to that cabin, all hell breaks loose, literally. The Deadites come back, they capture your girlfriend, and overall you have to save it while going through all of these like different encounters with different people as Deadites and stuff. You do go back in time to do a little bit of like a reference to the Army of Darkness stuff. But overall, again, it still tells its own kind of story, which is good to see that they didn't just kind of rest on the laurels of, we'll just do Evil Dead, but the game. I do know there's other Evil Dead games. I have not played them. This is actually my first Evil Dead game, believe it or not. I love the series, but I have not actually played any Evil Dead game up to this point. So this was my first one, and I thought it was a pretty good one. So overall, would I recommend this or would I not recommend this? I'm going to go ahead and pull up the price real quick for a physical copy of this game. Just so I can give you guys kind of an idea of what you're looking at. So a physical copy currently of this game is about $39. That's for a complete copy. If you get a loose copy, it's usually cheaper just to get the discs. Now, I do want to note that this is 2 discs. So you can kind of see it right there. It is 2 discs long, so if you're going to buy it, be careful that you don't get just 1 disc. So it's relatively cheap, and it's about a 5 to 8 hour experience. There's not really there's no new game plus, there's no unlockables so far as I can tell. There are cheat codes I saw, so apparently there are cheat codes to possibly make the game easier if you really struggle. I don't think there's any difficulties either, it's just 1 difficulty. But overall, I think I would recommend this game. I think it's a really interesting take on survival horror, if not a simple one. It is very kind of hand-holdy. On like, you need to go here, and then you need to go here, then you need to go here, and I don't think that's necessarily bad. I just think if you've played survival horrors before, you're just kind of like, yes, I know how these games work, you don't have to tell me. But for people that haven't, you know, I think it's pretty nice about that. Again, there's no like real puzzles, to be honest. Now I will say sometimes interacting with stuff can be a bit jank. But overall, I think I would recommend this game. My caveats are, know that this game can get hard, and it does have limited saves, which can catch you on the back foot and lose you, you know, playtime, essentially. You'll do something, 30 minutes of play, then you'll die and have to go all the way back. That happened to us, like I said, twice in our playthrough at the very least. But overall, it felt fine to play. It was an interesting story. I was glad I played it overall, so I do think I'd recommend it at $40. Maybe it's a little pricey for people. If you're a person like me that likes preservation and likes physical copies of things, then maybe pick it up. $40 is not that bad, given the price of some other horror games in the survival horror genre. Yeah, I think I give it a recommend, but yeah, just with the caveat of be prepared for some wonkiness and a little bit of difficulty, but I think you can make it through overall. So check the game out, either emulate it or, you know, get a physical copy if you can. And I hope you guys enjoyed that review. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, a comment. If you played this game before, or if you know if there's a sequel, direct sequel to this game, leave that in the comments for me. I would love to hear. I read all the comments for my reviews and stuff, or all the videos, really. So if you want to leave comments about, like, hey, have you tried this one? What about this one? Leave those in the comments. I'll check those out too. But I do appreciate you. Thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next review. Bye.